Boom.
There you
Webinar
go.
started. People coming in. Woo, look at all these people. Hello, everyone. So we're gonna get started in about 5 minutes, but we're just gonna let people trickle in because sometimes you need a couple minutes. I got Kai DeNeve and Martin Klekner with me. We'll do a proper intro in a little bit, but where are you guys at right now? Maybe you could just tell us. How's the weather? Are you dog or cat people? That's normally what we talk about for the first 5 minutes.
I'm based right now in Calgary, Alberta, up in Canada here, and it's smoking hot, like I think it is most of the world right now.
Yeah, here too.
Yeah.
Yeah, in Prague, in center of the Europe, it is the same. It's like 35 degrees, like Celsius here.
Oh,
so
right. Yeah.
very hot for us.
Oh God, it's so hot. It's just gonna get better. It'll get colder though, right? As science continues, right? Is that what'll happen?
Let's believe it.
Sure. Let's be
Go
optimistic.
science.
Yeah. Man, 223 coming in.
Holy smokes, got a lot of people.
To see you all. Looking at everyone in alphabetical order. It's a good distribution of names. Good job, everyone. I might share my screen and maybe we'll just play a little. We're gonna watch some of Martin's work in a little bit, but it might be fun just to check out a little bit, while we wait. And also for everyone there, we're gonna go through this in a second, but there's no live chat, but you can raise your hand in the Q&A section, or you can ask a question in Q&A, and we're gonna try and answer some questions at the end too if we have time. But here, I'm gonna share my screen. So I don't know if you guys can see what's happening. Hopefully.
Looking good, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, so Martin, this is Martin's project Heroes of Bronze, which hopefully you're going to be talking a little bit about. And it's unbelievable. I hope, it might be, if you're seeing any like artifacting or whatever, it's definitely from Zoom, but hopefully it looks pretty good. Man, I love, God, those breakdowns are so good too, Martin. It's great.
It was great fun making them. Sometimes even better than the videos.
Is it? Well, that's good. That's good. Sometimes it's like the breakdowns can be intense. Like you put in your nice storyboards and everything. It is fun to see though. It's
well,
awesome.
they usually take a little less time to make, so it's usually great fun to make after like the longer videos, like
right.
the videos that take longer to make. So this is like the last little touch. Every time I make a new video, I make a breakdown for it.
And are you like recording as you create stuff, or like do you go back and like I'll do that sometimes, right? I'll go back into a project and kind of like fake adding like things and
Yeah, well, no, I usually don't record myself.
Right.
I think I just I'm not in a habit of doing that. I rather go afterwards and make some tutorials about what I've just done, and even like some fake, as you said, some fake stuff to fill in inside the breakdown. So all this is just, I just opened some of the scenes and pretend that I'm working, but this was all, of course, done for the purpose of the breakdowns.
Right. Yeah. Which is great to see. I love it when people do that. It's so helpful, I think, just in general to see how, especially something when it's this polished and you get to see all the different things that go into it. And also maybe, we'll say this again, I'm going to stop sharing, but if I can figure out how to, there we go, stop share. But if, before we get started, if you just want to, what's your Patreon? And you have a Patreon, you have a website, right?
Yeah, there is a website for Heroes of Bronze. It's just heroesofbronze.com, and the Patreon is actually under my name, Martin Klekner. It's just patreon.com/Martin Klekner, my name. I don't know, can we put some links anywhere?
We will. So yeah, and there was actually already a question in the chat. Somebody figured out how to do it. Good job. Asking if this video was going to be you're going to be able to watch it again later, and yes, it will. We're going to put it up on YouTube, and you'll be able to watch everything, and that will have all the links to Martin's work. But again, Martin, it's heroesofbronze.com. If you can't wait, it'll be up in like a couple days. And then martinklekner.com. What was that? No, the Patreon is
the Patreon /
Martin Klekner. Yeah. Great.
So was that
Okay.
URL readily available? The
Yeah, that's
Heroes
the
of Bronze, or
yeah.
did you have to
Yeah,
buy it? Or
I
wow, it's just
jumped at it
available.
and it was available.
Oh,
Heroes of
nice.
I was
Bronze.ai.
surprised. I was
.tv.
surprised too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fortunate, yeah. Cool.
Okay, well, we're it's 11:05 PST, so I think we're going to get started. So we will officially welcome all almost 300 of you to this webinar hosted by Reallusion and Rokoko. We're super excited to have Kai DeNeve from Reallusion with us, who handles all of the Reallusion tutorials, which I'm sure you've seen. We have Martin Klekner, who is both a Rokoko and Reallusion power user and has amazing content up on his YouTube and Patreon, which we'll have links to, in the video on demand version of this, which will go up in a few days. I'm Sam Lazarus. I'm the creative director for Rokoko. And so, yeah, welcome everyone. So we'll just go through a little housekeeping before we dive into everything, starting with just, what the webinar schedule is going to be. We're basically going to start with 15 minutes or so from Kai, just going over some of the new awesome features of iClone 8. Which released relatively recently. Then I'm just going to do a quick little practical demonstration of some Rokoko tools. We'll see some Rokoko side-by-sides and things like that. And also getting some Rokoko just briefly into talking about the process of getting into iClone. And then the bulk of the webinar will be just, Kai and I grilling Martin about all of his amazing, workflows and how he's achieved such a incredibly high level of quality on this Heroes of Bronze project and also his other projects. The other thing is that we have a raffle that we did for this webinar. So there'll be one lucky person that we'll announce at the end of this. We're going to be giving away a total value of about 6,000 USD dollars, including a Rokoko full performance capture system. So that's the Rokoko suit, Rokoko gloves, Rokoko facial not Rokoko facial capture, but suit and gloves. Oh, and Rokoko facial capture, although we use Reallusion's facial capture tool in the workflows we'll go over. Reallusion has added licenses for the new iClone 8, Character Creator 4, as well as the Rokoko Mocap profile for Motion Live that allows you to stream in Rokoko motion capture. There's also going to be a 10% discount on the Reallusion 3D store, as well as a 15% discount on Rokoko products after the webinar, which will expire at the end of August. And the discount code is August webinar. And we'll also be sending another email following the webinar with some of this information in case you need it. Also, as I said in the last, while we were getting warmed up, you can submit questions in the little Q&A thing down at the bottom of your Zoom. Put them in there. If we have time at the end, we're going to go through some of them, and it'll be great. And Martin's generously here late at night, so I think we'll go probably an hour 15, hour and a half, so depending on how much fun we're having. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think we can kind of, without further ado, we can get started. I don't know, Kai, if you want to share your screen and take us through a little tour, or Martin,
before
please
we
go
start,
for it. Excuse me.
No, before we start, I just want to say that it's awesome to hear your voices because I've learned from both of you so much about the tools. So it's awesome to see you now.
It's great.
Yeah, I actually just met Martin a few minutes ago here for the first time officially on Zoom. So nice to meet you again, Martin. Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned that because we were just at SIGGRAPH last week, and a lot of people, they don't see my face, they just hear my voice in the tutorials. And as soon as I start talking, they're like, "Hey, you're that guy from the videos."
Yeah,
like, yeah, there we go.
I know, it was nice to meet in person.
Minor
It's our
celebrity.
first time meeting in person too. We'll
That's
get
true,
you guys.
Yeah.
We got to get you guys red beanies, and then you can be part of the Beanie Baby club. The Rokoko Beanie Babies, as I'm trying to get off the ground that name, which isn't sticking. But yeah, yeah. Should we get to it?
Sure,
Kai?
I'll go ahead and share my screen. Let's go ahead and do that. Can you see the screen right now?
Why don't we? Did you click the video share option?
I did optimize for video.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure. Great.
Yeah. I normally do that. Yeah, it's a little. So hey everyone, welcome. I'm Kai. I'm the academic sales director at Reallusion. I do a lot of the training and academic sales, I guess. So we do webinars occasionally every couple months or twice every month, I guess, on the Reallusion site. So you can check those out when you want. I just wanted to kind of introduce you quick to a couple of the new features. You might be familiar with iClone 8 already. If you're not, you can go to our website, reallusion.com, and iClone is at the top. I won't spend too much time going through this website because you can kind of do that on your own. It's basically, we've kind of focused really on being a pipeline animation tool, compatible with all sorts of motion capture, all sorts of CG tools and game design tools. You can browse this on your own time. We've recently, focused a lot on the motion capture, both for the body and for the face. And Rokoko has been a great partner for us with that. We've worked together with them for quite a while now. And yeah, so basically just go through the site on your own time. One thing I kind of wanted to talk about today a little bit is we just recently launched this auto rigging tool. It's called AccuRig, ActorCore AccuRig. You can find it from our website as well. This is an app that you basically download onto your computer and allows you to automatically rig. It's kind of very similar to what Mixamo is. It can automatically rig your characters. And this was just launched last week. So this is kind of fresh off the grill. Recommend checking this out. You can basically, it's free. You can free download right here. You can watch the tutorial, which I just made last week. And you can bring in any FBX character, really. It automatically rigs it. And you can export into really any software you want. Right now, it's just the body rigging. So just be aware of that. The facial rigging you have to do manually in a CG software. But this allows you to be compatible with any Reallusion motion tool, iClone, all the motion tools within iClone, and so on and so forth. So yeah, if you get some time, check out this ActorCore auto rig. You can find it on our website. Or you can just Google like ActorCore AccuRig.
This is awesome. I had not seen this yet. This is so cool. This is see, I'm learning. This is great. Yeah.
yeah. Go ahead and give it a shot. It's a quick download in the application. Like it's just a few step process. I won't show that to you guys on this webinar today, but you can check out the tutorial right here. It's like 5 minutes long. Really simple process and really intuitive and works really well. Yeah, you can always ask me questions later about that if you want as well. I did want to quickly go through just a kind of a workflow just to kind of show you how iClone works, with the Rokoko motion capture. Sam provided me with some raw motion capture data, a couple of different files here, and I'm going to show this to you guys on the scene right now. So we're in iClone 8 right now. When you get your raw data from Rokoko, obviously you can live stream that in and record it live and everything like that. In this case, I'm just going to show you quickly how you would bring in a file that you've already recorded, and basically how you kind of optimize that, customize it in various ways. I'm going to do a quick demo here for like 5-7 minutes, just because I want to let Martin talk about his cool project a little bit later on. So I'm just going to go up to File, basically. Now you can do a couple things. You can go to Import. Just go to Import right here. You can convert external motion. Another thing you can do is you can click and drag your FBX file in from Explorer right into the window, and it'll do that. What I'll do here then is I'll just actually do that. I'm going to delete this guy on the screen right now, just because I want to show you that process. Here we go. Cool stuff. So this is kind of funny. I kind of chose the strangest motion that you provided me, which is fight getting kicked in the balls .fbx here. So
the classic,
kind of
obviously.
The classic, yeah. So yeah, basically you click and drag it, you bring it in, it brings in this this rig right here. So if we can scrub through the timeline, we can see the actual motion right here. So you're stepping over something there, and this is basically where you want to start the motion here. And if I play it back, waving, and then boom, there you go. And just gradual.
Look at that acting. Fantastic.
Absolutely. Reminds me of that, what's his name? Hans Moleman from The Simpsons, when they have that Simpsons Film Festival. They won the award or whatever. Anyway, so yeah, there's the raw data. And basically it brought in a rig here. You can go into your timeline real quick. And if you go back to the, here you can see it basically automatically just adds a clip into the timeline. That's one way you can do it. It's probably the easiest way. If you wanted to do it like a different way, I can actually just delete this rig character right now. And if you don't need the rig, you can just go to Import, and you can go to Convert External Motion or Import External Motion. And here you go. Just bring that in. It'll automatically detect the profile, which in this case is Maya. You don't need to worry about the T-pose. All this stuff, just convert all. And what that'll do is that will actually add the motion file to your custom motion library in iClone. So if you go over here to your motions, I'm going to go to custom. Under external motion, you'll see fight getting kicked in the balls right there. This is it's now converted into a iMotion file, which is the iClone native format for motions. So if I just want to quickly apply that to one of my characters, let's go over here and just bring that character back in here. This dude, Kevin, and I'll just apply that motion to him like that. You can also, in the previous example I showed, you can also just right click on the clip in the timeline and just save it as well. You don't have to go through this process. It's just 2 quick ways you can do it. So again, the focus is, efficiency and quickness and just ease of use. And so let's go to external motion. I'll just apply that to, click and drag it onto the dude there. All right, so again, he starts off in the T-pose, and there's one part where he's stepping over there. And so this is the start right here. And if I wanted to, get rid of all the stuff at the beginning, I'll just press F3, go into the timeline. I'm going to break in the timeline right here where I want the motion to start, and delete the extraneous stuff at the beginning. And I can move it up. I'm sorry if I'm kind of speeding through this here, but you'll see it with this particular character mesh, his hands kind of go into his stomach a little bit. So it's a really quick and easy optimization to get rid of that. Really quick and easy fix. And the way you do that is go over to your modify panel, and we can zoom out of the way here, and use the edit motion layer tool here. So this is the key frame by frame keyframe editing tool using human IK. And what you want to do is at the point before your character's hands kind of enter into his torso there, you can just go ahead and basically essentially just set a full body key here. Since we're in full body mode, just set a key. It'll add a key for the entire body, and you'll see that key appear down here, and you can see all the various subtracks as well. Now, in this case, we're just going to, as his hands go into his body like that, I'm just going to do a quick and dirty edit here. I'm going to select the hand, and I'm going to use the mirror control. Right, so it's enable mirror, and I'm going to bring out the hands. They'll bring them up together. Generally, this is kind of like you wouldn't want to do something like this. You want to be a bit more detailed, but there you go. They both come out like this, and then I can take the hands and move them apart like this. Maybe rotate them slightly in like that, and like this. And maybe you can actually take the palms and kind of bring them in like that if you want. However detailed you really want to get with animation of getting hit in the balls. There you go. Okay, so that's basically fixed that situation where
That's great.
it was going through into the mesh right there. Okay, and then he'll kind of just fall over and do his thing like that. Cool. So yeah, that's basically it. That's a very quick and easy, super easy edit. If you wanted to add some sort of facial expression on that, I'll spend like another 2 minutes doing that, and then I'll just hand it over. Yeah, we have a couple of real-time facial animation tools that make it really easy. Obviously, the first one is facial motion capture, where I could just go oh or something like that. It's an expression that imitates getting hit. Another way you can do it if you don't have the facial animation capability or facial mocap capability, you can use what's called the facial key editor. So that's just basic keyframe editing from one expression to another. Face Puppet is one that I like to use because it's kind of quick and dirty again. This is basically using your mouse movements to create facial expressions on your character. And if I just at the time, you can basically preview it. Let's use something like this. Kevin right here. Maybe this anger one. If you preview it, you can see. Oh, maybe I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see the face better. So this is again in real time. It takes some getting used to record it in real time. So maybe that would be a good one for getting hit, something like that. So all you need to do is just press record and then just go like this, and his face goes down. But yeah, basically what I did is I just kind of created this facial expression. If you go down to under Kevin into the expression track, you'll find this clip, and there is where he does it. Now, of course, the timing might be off, but luckily you have a clip that you can just bring forward like this. So maybe let's just get the timing right. So normal, and then like that. So maybe a little bit.
That reads,
okay.
I'm getting truth from this. This is, yeah.
You can feel the pain through the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's basically it. I mean, and there's so much other stuff you can do, like the freedom of just like breaking up clips and blending them together and all sorts of stuff, it goes from there. And you can also just switch your characters as well. Obviously, if you switch a character to like another character, like let's use a very kind of stylized actor, like maybe the let's see, clothes. I think there's a coyote character that's pretty funny. You know what? I don't even remember where
Maybe
he is.
it's Creature?
Stylized.
Oh, stylized.
No, it's not a creature. Where is that stupid guy? Oh, maybe under here. There. Oh no, we'll just use this dude here, the slacker dude. He has like also different proportions as well. So, if you have your character selected, just double click the character and it'll replace him. And obviously, due to the different proportions, you'll have to make some adjustments with the motion layer editor tool again here. So you can see this. That's what this guy looks like. And you'd have to obviously, bring out the hands again. Just using the same tool to do basically the same thing. Motion layer tool, and just kind of bring those hands out. This guy probably, his elbows need to come out too. And I have mirror on, so there you go. And you need to rotate inwards. Again, I'm just doing a super quick and dirty job. You probably want to spend a bit more time. There you go. Anyways, it seems like he's holding his pot belly there, but yeah, that's basically it. So again, different proportions, and I need to delete the other key there.
There's always one key that's hiding.
Yeah, there's always, I forgot to delete all the other keys, but yeah, you kind of get the point there. His natural stance should be a bit wider too. So I don't know, but you get the point. That's really all I kind of wanted to show, just the kind of ease of taking mirror off there. The ease of just kind of quickly editing and doing all that stuff there. So that's, it's really kind of the power of the iClone tools, is just how quickly and efficiently you can kind of clean up your mocap. You can throw it onto other characters and do the refinements there as well. Adding in facial motion capture obviously is an option. And I guess that's really all I wanted to demo in today's webinar. If you guys have any questions about other tools, feel free to ask me a little bit later. But yeah, I think I'll just hand over the reins. I think Sam, you're doing a little bit of introduction for
and we're gonna be I'm gonna dive into iClone 2 for a second, and we're gonna show some facial mocap, and we'll get into it for 10 minutes, right. and then we'll jump to Martin. Yeah, awesome. Cool. So great for running us through that. It's so I'll talk about this a little bit in a second, but mocap in general, there's usually always cleanup. Like sometimes you have clips that you don't, I'm sure Martin will speak to this. Sometimes you don't need to do any cleanup at all, but oftentimes just because characters are different size proportions than you are, you're going to get things like clipping, and like being able to do this quickly is unbelievable. And it's not this quick in other programs. It is, this makes it as easy as I think it gets when it comes to oftentimes you need to make a small adjustment, and like this is 3 seconds and you can do it. So it's really powerful. Okay, so
my experience too when I worked with this software, I joked in one of my latest tutorials that I still don't even know how to animate, but I feel like with these tools I can.
Well, that's the whole point, right? Is that I don't know how to animate either. Like people, I think animation hand keying is one of the most difficult disciplines in CG. Like everyone knows a little modeling, everyone can learn a little texturing, a little dynamics or whatever, but then animation is like you got to study physics and anatomy, and you got to know how people move and how to convey emotion, and it's learnable, but it's often, I found it to be the most difficult thing to learn. So it's nice if you can just jump in a suit or whatever and kind of knock something out. Okay, I think I'm going to take over the screen So I don't know, maybe Kai, if you could stop yours. So now I'm going to share, and I see your questions rolling in. Keep them coming. We'll definitely get to them by the end. And so I'm going to do a little bit about Rokoko, and then we will get into Martin's stuff, which is really why we are all here. Okay, so I'm going to share this guy. Let me know.
Cool background.
Yeah, that's some, playing with Mid-Journey a little bit. Can you guys see everything? How does it look? Is it looking okay?
Looks okay, yeah.
Okay, great. So the Rokoko aspect, we make a motion capture suit, which you can see my colleague here rocking. It has inertial sensors within it. So what that means is that as opposed to some of the mocap stages you'll see with a ton of cameras, where it's taking all that camera data and like looking at it and processing it. All you need for us is just you put on the suit, it's got the sensors distributed throughout the suit, and then everything works over a Wi-Fi network. It's all powered by just a simple generic USB battery, so you don't need to charge the suit. You can just swap out another battery. And then, of course, we make the suit, we make gloves, and we also have a facial motion capture solution as well. And one question that I often get is kind of how durable the suit is, and can it handle like doing stunts and stuff. This is, I mean, the question is really like, can you handle doing stunts? This was a little while ago, and I hurt my back doing this, but you can see you can do all sorts of things in the suit, right? And it can handle just about anything. And so now let's actually, oh yeah, and the other thing I should talk about is just the price point a little bit. That's one of the big things that sets us apart is the price point, right? We try to be very affordable and easy to use. For the suit, it's $2,700. The glove, a pair of gloves is $1,000. And so together we have a bundle for $3,500 on the website. You can find all this at rokoko.com. But, this is compared to kind of $8,000, $15,000, and then, traditional mocap stages, which can cost up to $100,000, right? Or up and up and up. So we are kind of, the goal for us has always been to provide very high quality mocap, but kind of at a price point that is more attainable, right? So I'm actually just going to jump into Rokoko Studio for a second here. And so this is our software. And these are some clips that I've pre-recorded. In a second, we're going to send this into iClone and kind of just go over that briefly. Again, you can see, this is our hands. Data always looks really great. And the other thing is, if you ever want to see the suit performing live, we run a live stream every week on Thursdays where I usually make free mocap and give it out. If you go to our YouTube, you can find links to all the free mocap we've made already, which is like over 300 assets in the last, 9 months or something. And so you can download that, you can play around with it, test your workflows. You can also download our studio software for free from our website. It comes with a sample project. Again, I always recommend people to like test out, especially, we're a very cheap suit, but it's an investment. So it's always good to test out the data and download it. And you can do all that, or you can hop on the live stream and see how it works in the real world. And, all those videos are on our YouTube too. So this is just a recording that's done using the suit and gloves. This is just a little, drinking coffee. And I'm bummed that I'm using the same character because there's so many great characters in iClone, but I chose this guy too. So I'm going to send this data over into iClone. And a big part of our workflow has to do with our software, right? We have this free software that you use to record all your motion capture in. And one of the things you can do in the software is we have all these cleanup tools. So you can see here, if you have any wonky feet, you can clean up these keyframes. We have tutorials going over all this on our YouTube. We have, filters which can fix the drift over time. And actually, this needs to be fixed. So I'll just change that and process that. Because, one thing that you get with that lower price point is that sometimes you get magnetic micro drift, magnetic interference, but it's really easy to clean up all those things using our software. And again, the idea has been to make it as easy as possible to do mocap cleanup before you even get to iClone. And then, we just wanted to make everything easy. And another big part of our software, of course, is all of our live streaming plugins. So we make live streaming plugins for all the major softwares, including iClone and Cartoon Animator, which I love because there's not a lot of good tools for 2D animation, and Reallusion Cartoon Animator, you can stream your mocap into a 2D character and get that look. So that's a lot of fun. But I already have my live streaming turned on for iClone. So I'm sending out 2 streams, one for the suit, one for the gloves into iClone. Make sure this is turned on. You can see this little thing here, right? And so now if we jump into iClone, what we can do, and I think Martin is going to go over this a little bit as well, but I have this character set up. I created it in Character Creator 4, sent it over into iClone. If I turn on Motion Live, which is the plugin that allows you to bring motion capture into iClone, right? We can just quickly assign our Rokoko mocap, and again, face, body, hands, hit preview, and here we go, right? We have our character mocap. It's all in, and it was kind of that easy. You can record this directly to the timeline in iClone, which is awesome, and it's all shockingly easy to use. One thing that we will do just briefly is I also just wanted to show off. So we have our own facial capture solution that you can use, but when you're using iClone, you can use LiveFace, which is iClone's fantastic facial capture solution. So it's just an app, on your iPhone. And so if I turn on our facial motion capture, and I'm just going to turn off my body and hands for a second because I just want to show this off, you can see that here we have, our facial motion capture, and it's incredibly, accurate. Again, this is using an iPhone, which most people have. And what's great is that you can then, oftentimes when I'm going to be putting something into iClone, I will just set up my iPhone with my Rokoko suit and gloves, and you can combine everything live, right? You can just kind of mix and match the tools. So here, I'll stop this, and we'll just, I'll reassign our body and hand data. And let's do a little drinking coffee commercial here. Okay. Oh, I'm just gonna, oh, coffee. Oh, yes. Oh, so good. So happy. Oh, yeah. Yeah, okay. Put down this mug here.
Very believable.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, so good. That was delicious. And obviously this is, you can do this all live too, right? It doesn't have to be a pre-recorded asset, although I think it's cool that you can use a pre-recorded asset, because in Rokoko Studio, you can go in, make sure your feet, your drift all is good, then port it in. There's a bunch of different ways to use these tools, right? To combine them to get these fantastic results that are really easy to use. And again, there's tons of tutorials I know from Kai on the Reallusion website. We have tutorials going over all of these processes, because I know Kai and I both kind of sped through this because we're trying to get to Martin. But if you're curious, please, visit the Reallusion and the Rokoko YouTubes, and we have all this in depth, right? Where it's not me, talking a mile a minute. And yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to go over. And I think now we can kind of kick it over to Martin and start talking about the fun stuff, which is Heroes of Bronze. Which
actually that's something I wanted to maybe start with. Some of the things that I'm going to show. I'm basically just going to break down some of the shots for the short film that I'm making, but most of my workflows I do have tutorials for on my channel at YouTube. So it's again youtube.com/myname. So it will be in the links later.
And maybe before you even get started, you could, what is Heroes of Bronze? I mean, we saw a little bit of it, in the beginning of the webinar, but maybe just start with how it started and what is the project?
Yeah, I really need to learn how to describe the whole project at this point, but it's a bigger project for me. I have an overall story in mind, which is really a long story with a lot of characters.
And I'm going to share the screen. I know you're going to show this in a second, but I'm just going to run this in the background.
Sure. So I have a lot, a whole load of characters that I have a story about, and it's in a historical setting from ancient Greece. I try to be historically accurate. So I've done some studying about the time, and yeah, really, I try to be as historically accurate as possible when depicting and making the story for Heroes of Bronze. And the whole story idea that I have, basically, I'm writing books, storybooks about this story, but also the ultimate goal for all of this is animated series, which is of course very difficult to make, and I don't even have a team yet, so it is like somewhere in the future there. But that's the ultimate goal, to make an animated series in this sort of style from the story that I'm writing. So one part of it is a book, and the other one is this short animation or short film that I'm making, and that will basically work as a proof of concept sort of thing, something that I will go to people with money, I guess, show them, okay, this is what I made, and maybe with a bigger team I could make something like this in an animated series. So give me money.
Yeah, and again, I mean, I think this is your project, right? This is just you working on this?
Yeah, so far.
Yeah. So, I mean, the level of quality in all of these shots is just bananas. I think that's the exciting thing about like the time we live in, right? Is that you can use these tools as like one person and you get shots like this, which this is, AAA quality. This could go in the next, Assassin's Creed game and you wouldn't blink an eye. It's amazing. It's unbelievable level of quality. So I think that's why we're excited to have you here. And it's one person, and there was already a question about that actually. Is how big is the team? And I was like, it's just Martin. So anyway, I'll stop my share.
But thank you very much for that. But really, the tool, I wouldn't be able to make it without the tools that are available these days. So it's really wonderful times we live in. We creators of stuff like this. Yeah. So it wouldn't be realistic to make such a thing without them. And yeah, I thought about how to like explain the whole thing. So I will not go into every single detail, but I thought a fitting place to start is I used to make like storyboards for everything for all short films that I was making, or some freelance work. Every time I first created sort of a storyboard for the work, but these days actually it's so much more convenient to just jump into, for example, Rokoko suit, have some record some animation, because usually I have it already in my head what I want the characters to do in the shot, and then just place cameras in 3D and experiment there, instead of just drawing images and learning that it doesn't really work the way you want it. So instead I directly make 3D scenes these days. For Heroes of Bronze, it's really like a combination of everything. I think I'll start sharing my screen at this point. So let me share it. I have made some initial concept art for Heroes of Bronze, just little thumbnails to really get an idea of how I want the lighting and the overall mood to be. But this is just a few concepts that I made, and the rest of it was really the workflow that I just described. I just jumped into the suit, I recorded some animations, and then put everything into the 3D scene. So it basically looked more something like this. Let me.
Did you paint those by yourself?
Yeah.
Wow,
I usually make 3D base in Blender, export it, and then paint over it. So it's not really everything hand painted. So what you see here, and by the way, can you see it? Does it work?
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a little steppy. So and again, everyone, that's just from the Zoom. Yeah.
Unfortunately, but this is basically my initial test for this sort of shot. I just jumped into Rokoko, and I will show you in a minute the data that I recorded. But this was just how this whole shot started. I tried to record two animations, one of punching and one of receiving the punch. both is me. And I put it into a shot, added some camera move, and that was it. It was like 5-6 hours of work, and I had a pretty good idea of how I want the composition of the shot to be. Then there was other stages of adding background environment assets that I already had created, some background animations of some mid quality characters in the background, and so that was after the animation polish, and this is the final shot. And usually that's how I go. First, the rough sketch from the with just the key animations, then some polish and adding the rest of the stuff, and then finishing up with some compositing that I will also show you in a minute. So these are the 3 stages I do these days. I usually don't even have concept arts for my shots. Of course, when I work for clients, they want to see concept art, but when I work just for me, I jump into Rokoko Studio, and here you can see the initial data that I recorded. So it's just me standing on spot and doing some boxing movement. And I kind of had this like a little choreography of 2 punches and then 1 big one and a hook. And once I had that, I recorded the opponent. And of course, I will not go into like jump into suit now. That wouldn't even work, I guess. But so yeah, this is the opponent.
And this is what I was asking you. I remember you're telling me a little bit about this. This is like the classic, how do you fight yourself? And so was it a mix of like just trying to do timing and then obviously doing editing in Reallusion or in iClone?
I was counting in my head. It was like it was just three movements, so it was pretty easy to time it right. So I had a little rhythm for the recording, and I tried to do the same thing for this animation of receiving the blows. So this was my initial data. You can see there is actually some sliding here at the in this area around the feet. That's one thing I wanted to mention. I'm not really the best at any of this stuff. So some of the things you show, Sam, I don't even know how to do properly, like correcting the sliding and everything.
You know?
So you can see I didn't do it properly here. But fortunately, when I got everything into iClone, I was able to polish the animation and position stuff. So the sliding isn't really visible. But this is one thing I wanted to mention. Since my shot is basically has this composition, we don't even see the feet. So I didn't even like care if he's sliding. This looks pretty good, of course, except this big slide here. But that one I took care of, and the rest I didn't have to take care of because I knew, okay, the feet will not be visible. I don't have to clean it up. Yeah. So that's one thing, one big tip. It might be obvious, but really figure out the shot first, and then you will save a lot of time because you know what to focus on and what not to focus on.
Work smarter, not harder. I mean, I think this is like a classic thing of working within the tools, right? And like sometimes even with cleanup, you might have problems with feet in Rokoko, but like it's not, you could fix anything, right? Anything is possible in CG, but is it worth your time? You just frame the feet out and just keep moving, and kind of, especially when you're doing everything yourself, that's a common, I think, solution. So that's smart.
Exactly. Yeah, strategic camera placement and cinematography.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I will load up some dummy character into iClone. Actually, for this, I will show it in iClone 7, which I have here.
And you create all your characters in Character Creator, though, right?
Yes, I think I will skip the step for now. Character Creator is where I go to basically create all the bases for my characters, and then I export everything to iClone. I animate there and put the animation from Rokoko Studio on my characters there. And finally, I go to Blender and put all the clothing and helmets onto the characters there. So just as you did, and I have the Motion Live plugin here. And when in Rokoko Studio, when I want to get the animation from there into iClone, the same way you did it, I activate this iClone live streaming. I have these source codes for the body and the hands, as you mentioned. And when I activate the Rokoko body here, hopefully it works. No, that's the one thing that always confuses me, or
oh yeah, you got the default. Yeah.
Yes, I need to put in the numbers here, the proper numbers that I just showed you in Rokoko Studio. So once you copy the codes correctly, it starts working. And then just activating the Rokoko gloves and the body. And then when I start streaming the animation or animating from the studio, it should work, hopefully. Yes. So as you mentioned, Sam, this is very easy. Once you do the initial setup, it took me like an afternoon learning how to do this. But once I did, I was, good to go. And it streams the data to iClone very nicely. So I will probably not go in depth into this. This is the way I stream data into iClone, and I have a tutorial about it on my channel. So
And again, I think it is a little bit like steppy and laggy. It's clear, but maybe we'll in the video on demand version, we'll just add some like videos, because I imagine it's super smooth. That's always my experience in iClone. And I don't know
for that.
No, not at all. I don't know even. I often, because we have a lot of people who use Unreal or Unity, but I usually get the smoothest streaming into iClone for whatever reason. And usually it's like whip fast, right? I don't know if that's been your experience.
Is it Zoom?
Oh yeah, it's definitely Zoom. Oh yeah, the lagginess is just Zoom. But I mean, when you actually use the tools, it's super fast.
Yeah, definitely. It is. I see it's smooth in here. So and this is as you can see already, the two guys I put next to each other and roughly positioned them. I streamed the animation into iClone and put two characters in the scene and put the animation data into them. I do combination of stuff, like depends on how I sleep probably, but usually I choose whether I don't have a system for this, but sometimes I choose to polish up my animations in iClone, sometimes in Blender. So in this one, I chose to polish it up in Blender, as you can see, because here it's not really lining up, and his left hand, the left hook goes too high and stuff like that. But I was pretty happy with how this turned out for a rough animation. And with that, I just exported everything as FBX, and hopefully the dialogue appears. I have some trouble with more monitors here. Sometimes the dialogues, the different dialogues from iClone don't appear. So that's what seems to be happening right now.
Well, but also, sometimes I get them on the other screen or whatever, and they're like hiding. That always happens in whatever program I'm in.
What worked for me is to turn off a monitor and then turn it on again, but I don't really want to do it now. So, kind of afraid. So, but what you can do is export FBX and jump into Blender. And there is this wonderful, I can actually start a new Blender scene. And I think I will be closing these tools because my computer might explode with all the scenes open.
That's smart. So, yeah, but this is great too, because this is one of the best parts about iClone but also Character Creator 4 is that it's pretty easy to pull everything in and then get everything looking fantastic if you have to jump into Blender or whatever it is. Like, I think a lot of times people wonder about how the hair is going to look maybe and things like that. And there's a bunch of easy ways to get everything like looking fantastic out of the Reallusion tools.
Yeah, we have all the different auto setups that are, updated regularly, like every couple of months. And it just basically, it's a couple of clicks and it comes in like perfect, basically. So spend a lot of time and effort on that.
Yeah, it's nice that it's so flexible. And I'm sure there's tutorials on that probably you can hear Kai's silky voice on some tutorials on the Reallusion channel for that.
I actually forgot to mention it. Yeah, there is one thing. I sometimes I get my characters from Character Creator like to look much better in Character Creator than in Blender, and sometimes they're better in Blender. And I haven't really figured out what to do. But thing is, both software, both tools are perfectly able to create like photorealistic characters, in my opinion. It's just that my workflow was always based on Blender. So I am using Character Creator and iClone this way to basically feed the characters into Blender and polish them up there. But I think one could easily do this in iClone as well, like putting together scenes and rendering out characters from them. Right. So it's just that my workflow depends on Blender, and I have all my assets there.
And I think it's like it's a plus that it's able to work so well with a program like Blender, right? That's great, because sometimes whatever, you only know dynamics in Blender. So you're going to use Blender to do your whatever rain, right? And so if you couldn't get it in there, then it'd be a problem, but you can. So it kind of all works out.
So that brings me to this add-on that is available for Blender. And some time ago, I made a complete workflow tutorial. There's 5 parts to it about my complete workflow from Character Creator to iClone to Blender. I have all the links there for this add-on. And you basically just activate it and import the FBX that you export from Character Creator or iClone. You can see I have a whole load of them on my desktop.
Oh, a classic a nightmare of a desktop. Do you have a folder on your desktop called Desktop, though, where you put all the older things?
Yes,
yeah, that's really good. Yeah,
I think I have 2 of them. No, I put them away.
Oh, they're in a folder called Old or Archive.
Old desktop.
Mine's called Temp, but stuff has been in there for years.
Yeah, you're like, oh God, 2017. That doesn't. I don't think I need that anymore, or do I?
Yeah. So that's something I'm guilty of, but I usually store everything later in proper folders. But the desktop is
you got client project organization and you got personal project organization. Yes, right? Yeah,
yes. And by personal project organization, nobody would probably know where to look for stuff.
Yeah.
So
in the same way.
But what I did just now, and good, hopefully it doesn't crash now. Yes, good. So I had this character. It's a different character, like one of the I think not so important ones. But I just hit this button with this CC3 add-on. I'm not sure how it's called, the whole name of the add-on, but it's officially supported by Reallusion.
Auto setup tool. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So you can just import a character that you exported from iClone, and it jumps in. It has the animation, or this one doesn't actually have an animation, so I clicked on the wrong one. But if you had an animation, it would be there. And when I try to render it, this is an ugly character, so it probably won't look that great. But I'm jumping into Eevee now, and hopefully it will show all the textures on it. It just takes a little bit to make it build. In Eevee is a real-time rendering engine directly in Blender, and basically it just allows you to build all the materials and then view everything in real time. Blender also has a ray trace render cycles, it's called. That one is a little bit slower. It's like it needs to do some rendering, but it gives pretty nice results. For Heroes of Bronze, I mostly use the render, the cycles render engine. Sometimes I go for Eevee renders, but very, very seldom. But you can see this is a pretty flat lighting, but the character looks nice right off the bat. Even without any effects, without any ambient occlusion. I can activate ambient occlusion and other stuff. If I add a better lighting to this, it will really pop.
I love Reallusion. I love Character Creator. Like I'm usually in cycles, and I just like the eyes look really good.
Yeah.
I mean, and the skin, and yeah, I know in that big tutorial series you were talking about, because I was going through it, you have a whole section about skin detail and getting things looking really good in Character Creator.
I just wanted to demonstrate it was one click and everything was set up for me with all the materials and everything. So yeah, as you can see, this guy is not really at the same level of my other characters for the short film. This was just, a character for the background. But yeah, that's how I import my characters from iClone. And let me now jump actually into the scene with the boxers now.
But it's so funny you're saying that, because it's like that character had some personality. It's had the scar, and like he looked pretty, I don't know, he looked pretty good to me.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
It looked like Oscar Isaac, I think, to me.
Giving you Oscar
the
Isaac
actor,
vibes.
Yeah.
So I'll now jump, and I don't think this scene is the best looking scene of the whole short film. I still need to work on it a little bit and improve it. But I really like it for the animation, that there was this sort of like putting together two animations, timing them together, and in the end it works quite all right together, even though both characters are me, basically, the animation. So this is, as you can see, the cycles is considerably slower for to render, but this is what I use for the final rendering of the short. And I have everything in layers. So you can see one of the layers is basically just the two combatants. I hope this doesn't crash on me, because with all the streaming and everything, it gets really slow. Sorry for that.
Yeah, it's all pulling from the GPU or whatever.
Yeah. I may switch to CPU. But yeah, so this is the rendered view. This is very slow. This is the render view of the two characters that I just imported into Blender and put in a simple scene. I will show you the whole scene.
Do you render the layers out individually as well, or do you, when it comes to render time, do you just send it?
Exactly. This is what's saving me. Like I'm actually right now for the stream. I have a slower computer now, so this is also why it's kind of slower. I have also one more powerful computer that even now is rendering Heroes of Bronze.
It's like, please let me rest. I just want to sleep.
Don't even think about it. So I put together everything into the scene with some characters in the midground. So you can see there. It's all about the shot. So I can afford floating characters, right? And everything going through the floor. I have some architecture assets in the background and some temple that I built. And this is really messy, as you can see. All of my scenes are messy. Everything is just for the purpose of the shot. And by the way, this big plane is my sky image. I will show you just the sky image. It basically, looks like this, and it's just an image that I took on one of my vacations. But you can easily put 2D stuff in the very far background, and it works perfectly, because the parallax, it's not really obvious in that distance that it's just 2D plane. And that's what I do all the time. I don't really want to slow down the whole thing by trying to render the whole scene together, but I will rather jump into the compositing stage, because you can see I have all these presets here. So one of them is foreground with just the combatants. Then it's the crowd with just the people there. Then I have the gymnasium, which is the building where they used to practice in ancient Greece. The background with the temple. This is all my render layers, and I render them all separately. And when I jump into After Effects, which is a software of choice for me when it comes to compositing, let me load up the scene. I put everything together into composition, and as I said, this is not the best looking shot of Heroes of Bronze, but it is nice to demonstrate if I isolate everything, just the layers. So let me show you how it looks rendered from the very background. This is the background image. Over it, I have the buildings. Over it, I have the crowd. And finally, the characters. And then I usually, I will actually load up a different scene in a minute where the result is a little bit nicer. But overall this, I like to add some lighting effects to bring everything together, some dust and smoke. I love these sorts of just a solid color layer, but with some masking. It almost appears like there is a light spreading from the top of the image. And then I have some filters with a glow and some color punch to all of that, and a vignette. Everything needs to have a vignette.
I got
it. And that's the final, not really the final shot. I will work on this shot a little bit more. I'm kind of jumping all over, pushing every little bit here and there. So I will probably return to this shot later and improve it. Maybe add more people, add more particles in the air floating around. But this is how I put together a shot from the initial animation that I record in Rokoko, jumping into iClone and then Blender, where I make my scenes, and finally compositing all together in After Effects.
Awesome.
So that's one example.
It's amazing.
And I think I will load up a different scene. But if you have questions, any questions now, I think while I'm loading another scene.
We have a ton of questions actually coming in from the Q&A. Oh man, here's one. How long does every scene approximately take for you to make? Which is kind of an infinity, I imagine, answer. It's just like it's ongoing.
Can't really say. Like the
how about two like maybe just to Blender, how long does it take? So the Rokoko and the iClone part.
If I take a scene like this, which is one of the easiest ones for the whole short film, then I have like the shots with armies that takes months. But this shot, I think, like 5-6 hours to get the most important animation inside Blender. Then a day or two of adding polishing the scene, adding the characters in the background, and for the rendering, it like half a day of rendering. With compositing is usually fast because I have a lot of workflows already prepared, so it's like 2 hours, 3 hours. And then of course I see, okay, this sucks, and this sucks, and so I have to re-render, and I will get back to it. And,
that's the worst.
Yeah. And then you get to After Effects and it's just like, does it need a little bit more shadow? Does it need a little bit more? Yeah.
Or rather more glow to hide it.
More glow, a little more glow. Yeah, gotta add a particle.
Pump up the vignette. Pump up the vignette.
Yeah, more vignette.
Oh, that's too much vignette. Okay, gotta go back. Oh, okay. Yeah.
You understand me.
Yeah. I think we're all in the same boat a little bit.
So yeah. All right, so I'm loading another scene. Good. So more questions?
Oh man, okay. Well, what's the team number working on here as a bronze? That's 1, right?
Or I have a composer and one actress that's doing the voice acting.
Okay, nice. That's great. Yeah, you also learn doing, especially with Mocap, you learn very quickly that sometimes it's good to get someone in who can, I don't know, like I'm always like trying to dance and I'm like, I'm not a very good dancer. This is making that incredibly clear.
Yeah, you need some more flexible, like live mocap actors, to do all your stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I can cobble along, or
do
a jog.
Here's another good one.
Jog.
This is kind of for you, Kai. Maybe does AccuRig is it supported by iClone 7 too, or is it an iClone 8 thing? And is it in Character Creator or is it an iClone?
So AccuRig will be with Character Creator 4 and iClone 8.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it's just we have a new rig, like a more optimized rig for those software, for the updated software. Yeah.
Boom. Nice.
I will stop sharing for a while because I'm loading the like rendering the scene now. So I'm a little bit afraid what's going to happen. But yeah, one thing I wanted to mention is that I am actually using the same workflow as you did, Sam. I first record my body animations for the characters, and only afterwards I record the facial animations with the iPhone tool.
Yeah, so you use the Live Face app as well.
And it works awesome. I tried recording everything at the same time, but somehow I'm not able. Like, it should be easy, but
well,
my
you can. Yeah. It's also
the acting
depends.
skill.
The unfortunate thing about the iPhone still that everyone a little bit is locked into, because I mean, it's great that everyone already has an iPhone, but they're just kind of heavy. So eventually I'm sure there'll be some sort of solution from everyone where it's an external camera. But for now, it works great, and you just have to build a sturdy helmet rig or whatever, which is what I did.
Yeah.
Zip tied my selfie stick onto my bicycle helmet, and and it works. This is one that I might have seen in one of your videos, Martin, but it might have been you, Kai. I know you can do a lot of clothing sims in Reallusion tools. Is there a way to export that stuff out into Blender? And I don't know if that's something you've played with, Martin. So I also saw some clever noise related things, I think, on your channel, maybe in Blender. So I don't know. I just know that there's great simulation tools for cloth in iClone.
Yeah, you can do physics
K-mode.
simulation in iClone for sure.
Right.
I'll let Martin take care of the Blender part of that, but I know you can export with Alembic format, which saves all the physics results and everything like that.
Right.
Or you can just simulate it, I think, in Blender. Is that right, Martin? Like,
That's true, yeah. But I haven't actually tried to export the cloth simulation from iClone yet. I use Marvel's Designer for that. But with the latest version, I think it was improved, right? I
saw
think
this. Something about
I think with the new auto set, I know for Unreal Engine 5 with the new auto setup, it does export the physics, like it exports all the physics maps and all that stuff, so it works perfectly.
Awesome. Okay, that's
super
it. Must
cool.
have been your video that I was watching, because you were using playing with the storm setting for wind, right? And it was like, yeah, you can get really good stuff. Okay, maybe that was something else. I don't know what I've been watching.
Might have been. Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. So the wind and right. That was back in the day.
Yeah,
it's probably like 3 weeks ago, but I have a bad short-term memory.
Right, back in the day. Okay, so I'm going through and I'm answering some of these. So yes, you can export lead data out of iClone.
And by the way, it's still one of the things on my list to try using the cloth simulation in iClone and export it to Blender. That's one thing I haven't gotten to yet.
Yeah, I'm curious about the auto setup because I haven't actually tried to export, like yourself, I haven't tried to export to the physics, soft cloth physics to Blender yet. So I'd have to double check on that, but I'm not sure if the auto setup allows for that yet. One way to find out, I guess.
Yeah.
So I've successfully rendered the scene, and
nice.
Now I'm loading the iClone scene. So give me a few seconds more, but it hasn't exploded yet.
Yeah, what's that smoke that's coming?
Yes, some smoke in the background there. You better check
that.
Yeah. One thing I can share in the meantime, it will probably be choppy again, but let me share it all the same. Am I?
You are. It is. Yes, here it comes. Yeah.
Yes.
You're up and running.
Good. So there is this video that I think I haven't sent you yet, but again, it's the same workflow that I just showed you was for this shot, where I gathered all these characters, the main characters for the film. Lately I've been working on improving this scene, adding all sorts of blood and arrows sticking from their shield, stuff like that. But again, all of this is just me standing around pretending I have a spear. Oh, that's actually one thing I wanted to mention. It's better to have the thing actually in your hand if you're recording animations. So
Absolutely.
it won't do just, you know, pretending you have a sword or a spear.
No.
So I have some, I learned that the hard way. So now I have like all sorts of props here to use when
That's
recording.
awesome. Yeah, the classic thing is like holding a sword, right? And swords are so heavy. Swords are really heavy. And so if you're not holding a sword, your wrist ends up moving so much that it looks very, you know, there's no weight when you add the prop in the CG. So it's really important to use props, and it makes it more fun to have.
Yeah.
So you're saying you guys both have big broadswords at home that you just
I use a tripod usually or something like that. I'll use like anything that's I think is the same weight, but just something to that so my hand isn't like it looks like dinky otherwise, you know. Somebody was asking in the chat, they wanted to see because you have a sword in the background, Martin, and somebody was asking about that and wanted to see that.
I have a few swords. I actually do medieval reenactment and like fencing and sword play myself.
Awesome.
So I have a lot of that, but these ones I actually do have here for the recordings.
Oh so man,
that it really helps, as mentioned.
Yeah, it helps. Well, that's why you don't need an actor, because you can, you know, because you do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I really love to every now and then get out of the computer, like get out of this room, out of the computer, and go into Middle Ages and just sit by the fire and
awesome.
see the sun again.
Oh my God! Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So let's see how this scene looks. All right, so yeah, so this is iClone again, and
oh nice.
This is just 4 actors that I put together into a scene. It took me actually a while to realize that you can put more actors into iClone. I know I should have known, but then I started using it for a rough blockout of shots. So I put different animations from Rokoko onto these guys. And this was a basis for one of the shots. I think the image was a cover image for this webinar actually. So this is how the guys originally looked in iClone for me. And I just took care of animation here. And then I jumped into Blender and again added the whole scene together. And I will in a minute show you the final image. Again, this is really just the preview rendering here is not the best, but my usual workflow is just to take care of the characters in the foreground, then divide everything into layers. So add in some midground, which is again the same temple that you saw in the previous scene. I reuse a lot of stuff, and some soldiers, some generic soldiers that I have. And then again, I have some 2D background skies and 2D mountains. I will try to switch to it now. And sorry again that it's also very slow, but
that's fine.
So this is a 2D image of a sky again. I don't actually use anything else, and it always works out for me having just 2D skies like this in my scenes. And usually it's not really visible. Of course, if you focus on it from now on, you will see it.
Yeah, but it's something like you were saying, just at that distance, there's no, like normally, right, the clouds are moving a little bit relative to the clouds behind them, right, with the parallax. But if it's that far away, you're just not gonna notice. Also, the focus is probably on the characters, and
exactly,
there's too much. At a certain point, the mind just kind of stops seeing new detail, you know, I find. I'm curious though about your process for those 4 characters in iClone, because I imagine what you did is you imported them all, you sent them from Character Creator, right, into the same scene.
Mm-hmm.
And then I imagine you just went into the Motion Live plugin and you selected each character and only turned on the mocap for that character, recorded the animation to that character, and then do the next one? Or how did you do that?
Actually, this one was a little different. Sorry, I first like put the animations the same way I showed you a little while ago. I just put them one by one, the animation onto the characters, and then I merged everything into a scene with this merge project option. So only after all the animations were on the characters and these projects with the like individual characters were saved, I merged everything together. Then saw how it works in an animation together, and then exported it to Blender. There might be a better solution again.
Well, I imagine
an interesting workflow.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, it's always so funny, right? Is that you kind of design tools at Reallusion, and it's like it doesn't matter how it gets done, it just gets done. I imagine what you could also do is, based on what you were showing, Kai, is just convert motion, right? Bring in the mocap, build your little library, and then just drag it on to or assign it to each character, right?
Yeah, you can just record to one character at a time. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
But it is often a good idea as well, like Martin mentioned, to have everything on separate projects, just because it's kind of a bit more organized that way sometimes.
Yeah, and heaven forbid something happens to your one hero project that, you know, software is unreliable in general. Like not our software, not Rokoko Reallusion, but perfect. Sometimes, you know, it's just good to have backups, and that's kind of a cleaner way to do it, especially if you're pouring hours and hours into your work. You just want to make sure that you got safe copies of everything, right?
Absolutely.
Definitely. So again, here I am in After Effects, and this is how the final composition looks together. But let me again break it up. So again, this is the sky background that I showed you with the mountains. Again, just 2D image of mountains. Then I put some. Oh, it's fire in this brazier here.
Oh wow. Okay. I was like, that's a mountain on fire. That doesn't look right.
No.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right.
It's this one here, and then the main characters over everything, and then again just playing with some light added to the shot. Those little soft glows of color, I always put them in to add a little bit more light atmosphere to all the shots. That's what I always do, basically. If you know Photoshop or After Effects, some of them I use the blending modes. Let me actually expand this. I use soft light to add that soft haze over everything with some little opacity, and sometimes I use screen mode to brighten up parts of the image, and it really works flawless. You don't have to do any lens flares or anything. I actually try to not use any lens flares these days, because those days when everything had lens flares, they are gone. I think that nobody should overuse lens flares anymore.
Yeah, JJ.
That's like the J.J. Abrams Star Trek.
Yeah, he ruined it. I mean, it's awesome, but it's so funny. You go back and watch this again, though. I love it's another example of like work smart, not harder. Just, you don't have to simulate fire. Just like grab, a little just alpha of it and put it in the background, and like it's fine, right? It's just it's gonna look great. Yeah. And
when they blur it, it looks all right.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. I mean, it looks great. And you just save yourself hours.
That's a little peek. That's a little peek into how I create characters. Of course, then there's the matter of all this armor, the helmets and stuff. I have created those in Blender and added materials in Substance Painter. It's very easy to create believable PBR materials in Substance Painter. So I learned how to use Substance Painter, and for me it's really the easiest tool for texture painting. I basically, just like with animation, I didn't know the first thing about texture painting and PBR until I tried Substance Painter, and it was really a great time saver.
Yeah, you had a project to work on. Here we have a question. Is there a reason you chose 24, which I imagine just because it's cinematic, or
24
frames?
Frames per second.
Sorry.
Yeah, it is cinematic FPS, and I like to use it. I don't like the smooth image of 30 or 60 FPS, to be honest.
Yeah. Here's a question. Do you export your Rokoko mocap in 24? And yes. Is your iClone is your iClone project in 24 too? So it's all I have 24.
I have to set it to 24 because sometimes, especially when I simulate stuff in Marvel's Designer and use that Alembic files, everything needs to be synced with the same FPS. So that's again what I learned the hard way. But from the ever since I'm try to set everything that I see to 24 FPS.
Smart. That's I'll just export in 100 and Rokoko Studio and I'll just leave it. A lot of love for you in the comments, Martin. Just a lot of people who are impressed with the way you've set everything up, and just one person was saying this is more artist discovery than webinar. I just found out about Martin. Okay, this is a good one. I'm sorry if I'm cutting you off and asking questions now from the chat. I don't know if you wanted to go over anything else.
No, it's all right. And thank you, by the way. I'm really glad people enjoyed this project.
Yeah, I think it's just nice. It's always nice to see. I'm always curious. You want to see breakdowns of very high quality projects, right? Because that's what everyone is trying to do. So it's nice that that's what this is, and we, to take a peek behind the curtain a little bit. How do you handle background characters so they don't bog down your scene? And then my question would be, do you have like a staple of characters you made in Character Creator that you just like, this is like, I have 8 crowd background people and you reuse them, or even have like pre-exported FBXs out of iClone with everything, I just plop them in the scene in the background? Or how do you handle that?
Yeah, I have several like libraries of assets and characters that I pre-made and throw into every single scene where there is a crowd or some army. So one of the things I have is like characters in all sorts of situations. So soldiers preparing to fight, I have group of them and I just link them into my Blender scenes. Or I have civilians like children, female, male, all in different situations. I have a lot of libraries for these sorts of animations. Then I have my armory, which is all my armor and helmet and weapon assets put together. I can actually show a little video here.
Armory.
If I have the video ready. I don't think so. Let me look for it a little bit. But I've made like hundreds of little animations of characters doing all sorts of stuff, and I put it into separate Blender files. Here it is. So can you see it? These are like examples of what I talked about, like some generic characters doing all sorts of generic stuff. And I just link this into my scenes. And I need to figure out how to loop this video with VLC player.
Hey, quick question, Martin. Do you use like LODs for when you're exporting your background characters, like just lower the level of detail?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah, I'd love to, but I didn't have time to prepare them. So I really try to make all these characters, they share a lot of textures. They have a lot of low poly stuff on them. Basically, some of the clothing, it's just a solid color for the clothing. So I use low poly, like low resolution textures, as few number as possible for the textures. And
it's like 512 by 512 or something. Is that as low as?
Even lower, sometimes to 56.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I put these characters together. And it's not really visible in the final shot. This is pretty close, but usually my characters are much smaller in the shot. And it's all character creator characters and my assets on them.
And I mean, that's maybe Kai, the character creator characters. I don't know what the poly count is. Probably like 30,000 or something like that.
I think your average character is between 30 or I think it's 30 or 40,000 is like
so like typical
CC4. So
you
can get that down to like 10,000, 5,000 even using the LODs.
So and is there I've never played with the LOD system. Can you auto generate LODs of the characters?
Basically when you export FBX,
awesome.
you can export like 3 versions of the same character. You can export one like 5,000, one like 10,000, one like 40,000, for example, and they all just export at the same time as 3 separate FBXs.
With auto LODs.
So I don't use them, but I should. I didn't have time.
We're all
to
learning.
learn it.
We're all learning, baby.
Exactly.
Oh, that looks cool.
So many things that I want to learn, but maybe for something in the future. I don't have time to learn new stuff, quite honestly, because I'm really like finishing Heroes of Bronze right now. I think 2 months of work and it's done.
Well, you learn as you go along too, right?
Sorry?
You learn as you go along too. Like you need to do this, you need to find a way to do it. So you just go through all the YouTube videos and stuff.
I feel like all my workflows like barely work, but they do.
Nice.
One thing I did want to ask for my own question that I always think is interesting for both of you is there any specific tool or thing that you've learned that has made your life easier when it comes to like, you know, Reallusion, Rokoko for you, Martin, but Reallusion, Kai, like something that's not a hidden thing, but like, oh, I love this hotkey. You know, is there anything that you have like that? And I'll go first.
Like,
yeah,
sure, go ahead,
in any
go ahead.
product, yeah, and I'll let you think about that. But you know, in Rokoko, it's that a dedicated router is just really important. So any of you Rokokians out there, you know, make sure to use a dedicated router because it's a Wi-Fi based mocap system. If somebody is on your apartment Wi-Fi watching YouTube videos at the same time, it's gonna throttle the bandwidth and you're gonna get worse mocap. So that's like something that I learned, you know, through working with.
Get off the Wi-Fi, Mom.
Yeah, seriously, because you don't want to be doing that, and it's a bummer when somebody, you know, mid-session somebody decides to start watching Disney Plus or something. Yeah, I don't know. Is there anything that you guys have come up with that is like, oh, I wish I'd known that starting out?
Oh man, for me, I guess, you know, I just thought of one of my favorite hotkeys in iClone is the U hotkey, which allows you to basically toggle between like your last selected camera and your last selected object or character. So if you have a character selected and you know, you want to change to the camera attributes on the side, just press the U hotkey. I know it sounds like kind of silly and simple, but honestly, it saves so much time as opposed to like having to go up to like, you know, click around and like click on the camera and the
get into scene and yeah, totally. Yeah. No, I mean, that's exactly what I meant. Like those are the things that you learn that end up saving you so much time. Okay, U hotkey.
Absolutely,
yeah.
You.
An iClone. That's probably a good one for you, Martin. I don't know if you know that one.
I gotta try it. Thank you. Well, there's so much, but for example, in Blender, one thing that comes to mind is holding when there's a lot of objects behind each other, and you want to select them, like one of the, for example, the one in the very far background. I used to do it the way, like I used to click and then click again and click again until I got finally into that last little object in the background. But I then learned that you just hold down Alt and it gives you a selection, basically a list of everything that's stacked onto each other, and you just choose the object that you want to choose in the very far background. So holding down Alt and clicking gives you a list of objects that are stacked behind each other, and you can choose the selection. And
nice.
that sped up so much my workflow. Such a stupid thing.
Those little things. Awesome. Yeah.
Blender's like the king of hotkeys too. There's like so many hotkeys in Blender that even if you've been using it for years, you're kind of like, oh, that's a new one.
Yes.
Yeah. There's always more. There's always another secret around the corner in Blender for sure. Okay. Well, I have a couple more questions. Let's run through them if you guys are down for it. This is Martin. What's the most difficult aspect of making Heroes of Bronze for you? Which I'm sure is a multi. You know, there's a lot, but if you had to choose the most difficult, painful part of making it on, you know.
Well, from the different parts of the workflow, it was probably like learning all about how to clean up motion capture, because I didn't know anything about it, and learning how to polish animations and put everything together and be able to work with loads of character animations, that really required to learn a lot for me. So I'm glad that I have a functioning workflow now. But overall, with every project like this, it's really this last stage that I'm currently in, to make it everything like click together, the music, the voiceover, the images, the edit, and all the little details. It needs to work together, and that's always the most difficult part. And it's just about, going in and trying and editing and improving.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where you get hung up on just the little things and tweaking, and and it can just take forever. Here's one. Is there a solution to take facial animations with Rokoko and iClone? Yeah, basically you use the iClone live face app, and then you can just pair it up in motion live with Rokoko. Okay, I'm just reading. I'm reading.
We're at 161 questions now.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so this is one for you, Kai, maybe, and I've seen a couple people, but what's the are there a lot of real-time uses that you see? I've seen there's some people called digital puppets on YouTube that have a whole course about VTubing with iClone, and is that something you guys have been seeing a lot with? Because it's really smooth. The real time is faster than Unreal, I find, in a lot of cases, at least with character work.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's been tons of cases like that. Both, I mean, you can do it in iClone with good visual results, as long as you set up your scene really nicely with the correct lighting and everything.
Totally.
You can do it live just fine. Lots of people even just use Unreal Live Link and do it into Unreal. That's a little bit more demanding on your system as well, for sure. I mean, if you're bringing a laptop to a remote location, you're going to have a little bit of trouble running UE5, I think, with the live link, if it's unless you have a crazy video card attached to it or something. But yeah, we have had a lot of people like using that workflow for sure.
Yeah,
both in corporate and in like previs applications too.
Totally right. Yeah, you want to get a feel for how the character is working and everything. And again, I mean, Martin, you were showing off the auto import stuff in Blender, and it similarly works in Unreal or Unity, right? Right. There's a plugin that you get, and you can import it. It'll bring all the textures in, so it's pretty easy to get everything. And one of the big thing, here's a question about Live Link in UE in Unreal with facial movement. The character creator added all the 52 blend shapes to all the characters recently, so now you can use the Unreal solution with your character creator characters, right, too, which makes it easy.
Yeah, the more advanced the more advanced facial profiles for character creator 4 actually have around, I think, 120 blend shapes or something like that.
Right.
So it's for super detailed.
Yeah. And this is one also about character creation or facial mocap. Is there this is a Kai question. Is there a camera that lets you lock onto a character's face while animating their facial features? I assume you just position your camera.
Yeah, you could just position your camera there and link it to the head, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, and then you would have one that's always like focused on the face. I'm sorry, I'm not typing these in, everyone. So hopefully you're still here if you ask these questions, because I can't type it all and look through them. Okay, for AccuRig, does it support tails and digit grade feet like dragons, or just humanoid characters like werewolves? And does Character Creator 4 support that function? I would imagine probably not tails, but more humanoid.
Yeah, you can't. AccuRig itself won't map the tails, but you can add those tails as custom bones later on in Character Creator and put springs on them and everything and whatever.
Boom. Yeah. And I assume there's tutorials about that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Hold on. Let me find another Martin question. And you said that you did your facial mocap using live face, right, Martin? Usually. Yeah, have you ever used the like hand tools where you just drag the eyes around or the face?
for the latest tutorial, I tried it and realized that it's awesome, but I probably don't need it because I have the live tool for iPhone. So that I had great experience with that.
Yeah. And we were looking
Yeah,
at it a little bit
it's fun to
earlier.
use, but it's kind of for quick and dirty previs type animation for sure.
Okay, right.
But it's definitely one of the most advanced, most driven tools I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So here's one. Have you considered, Martin, switching to Unreal from Blender for your final stuff, which I'm sure it's crossed everyone's mind.
Yeah, well, several times I even tried, but then I love that I can create my assets in Blender and just jump into rendering directly in Blender without any export. Exporting everything at this stage before the completion, that would be stupid.
Right.
So maybe in the future, for if this project picks up, if I have the opportunity to make something longer from Heroes of Bronze, I will definitely consider Unreal 5.
Yeah, because you'd just be adding another software on top that would be even more. Yeah, that would be even more than what you're doing.
I see. I think the main pipeline for the creation of the assets would stay definitely in Blender, but the rendering that Unreal 5 offers, that's just unparalleled. So even though Blender does have the ED real-time render, Unreal 5 is like somewhere else.
And it's nice that it all plays nice with the character creator stuff. So all the hair will come in and everything.
Yeah.
Here's one that's kind of a me question. Is there advantage doing cleanup in iClone versus Rokoko? Or is it mostly just a preference thing? So the Rokoko cleanup is limited really to foot contact and maybe like global drift. You can't do things, and maybe someday you'll be able to, but right now you can't do things like fixing clipping or fixing, you don't have your mocap on your character. So the iClone is that's really the best way to do mocap cleanup. Again, and Kai was showing off some of this at the beginning of the video. But it's very easy to do quick fixes just and fix clipping or fix whatever issues. So I would say, I use all the Rokoko tools. So they're made specifically, the suits are made specifically to work with the Rokoko tools. Martin, I'm going to send you tutorials on how to get into them.
Thank you.
but there will always be, Rokoko, sometimes you don't need to do more cleanup and you just use the raw data, it looks great. But usually the goal of Rokoko really is never to get you 100% of the way there, which is most mocap, but no mocap gets you 100% of the way there because you're usually not with the character and your proportions are different to the character. So there's always going to be cleanup. It's just a matter of figuring out the easiest workflow, and the iClone workflow is great for fixing stuff that will inevitably come up with Rokoko mocap. I would say that would be my answer. Okay. Martin, have you played with the lip sync stuff in iClone?
Yeah, definitely. For the short film, I actually don't really have that great a need for it because there's just one sentence that is lip synced in the whole animation, in the whole short film. So not extensive facial animation like lip sync animation. But for a tutorial that I made some time ago, when I tested this Acculips option in iClone, I did like one whole shot with some characters from iClone or character creator, and there it really, I think it worked flawlessly. It's just basically I made a text, and plus I had an audio recording, and I put everything into the Acculips tool, and it generated facial lip sync, that lip sync animation that really needed just a few touch-ups.
That's awesome. Yeah, and you guys, Reallusion had a big contest with I remember with the lip sync tools. That was really fun.
We just had that I think earlier this year or something.
Yeah. I hope you guys do it again. I kind of missed out last time, and I would love to. I want to get in there next time.
Do a karaoke contest or something.
Oh, that would be great. That would be really fun.
For Heroes, I actually really love the new package, the Digital Soul package. eye movements and little facial twitches and stuff like that. That's really hard to make. Those like tiny little primary and secondary facial animations, and the digital soul really does it well. So I use it all the time now.
Cool.
It's nice. It just kind of adds it automatically. And actually, man, maybe we can stop the screen share so we can get our. I totally forgot about that. Okay, we'll do. I think we got to. We'll call. I'm like halfway through. Let's do 4 more. We're gonna do 4 more questions. They're just gonna be the most interesting ones I see in here. Okay, this is interesting. I love this workflow. Where would be the best place to find people to collaborate with? Martin, are you on Discord? Do you find people to work with ever, or how do you handle that?
Not yet. Maybe in the future. I will definitely continue with this project after I release the short film. Maybe I'll have a little vacation. But I'll think of Discord definitely in the future. So far, I just basically on my Instagram, I shout out help somebody, and somebody always helps. But Discord would be nice, but I don't have anything like that yet.
Yeah. And we have a Rokoko Discord where you can always find people to work with, and I think we have a Reallusion channel that you can hop into. So that would be one place, and then probably also in the comments of the Reallusion YouTube would be a good place to find people, maybe.
Yeah, I think we have like a ton of Facebook groups out there, just organized by the community. Really, people just communicate there. I don't really use Facebook. I'm one of those people, but you can go there and check out, just search for like Reallusion or whatever, and there's tons of people. From what I hear, that's where people kind of connect. And we also have our forums as well, forum.reallusion.com. You can always go there and look for freelance opportunities and stuff.
Yeah. So Martin, here's another one. Do you plan on kind of sticking with the Greek setting as you move forward? You kind of answered this at the beginning, but there's more stories to tell in this world, right? I mean, yeah.
The whole story is basically throughout like 20 years around the fame. Like it is set around 480 BC, and the whole story focuses on 2 generations of one family. So there's a lot of story to tell for me, and I think I'll stick to it for a while now.
It's gonna be a 60-year project.
Something like that.
Okay, here's one, Kai. I'm sure you can find some minimum specs, but how heavy is iClone? And do you need top of the line stuff, or if you have not an old computer, but at least in my experience, I've been able to get iClone up and running no problem with not like crazy powerful stuff.
Yeah, relative to something like Unreal Engine 5, it's
right.
Nothing really.
Right.
But we have the minimum requirements listed on the page. If you go to like the iClone product page, there's a menu you can bring down. It's like minimum requirements. I think it's like I can't remember. GTX 1070 is like recommended.
Okay, so a couple generations back is totally fine.
Yeah, you should be okay. But I mean, obviously, you want optimum performance. You want to like get some more recent stuff.
Okay, well, that I think we should call it, because that's pretty much all. There's more questions, but I think we could be here all day, so we're just gonna have to call it. If you have more questions, we will put this video up again online on YouTube, so you can put them there, and we will answer them there. Just a big thank you to Reallusion for doing this with us. You guys are great partners, and it's always fun when we can do this. Hopefully, we'll be doing more. Yeah, thank you, just Kai, for everything, and Martin, thank you so much for, especially at the. It's late for you, so this has been awesome to just walk through everything. And
thank you.
The last time, Martin, maybe you just want to your Patreon and the website and everything just for people before we leave.
Yeah, basically the best option is to just visit heroesofbronze.com, and there's all the links, my tutorials and courses. So if you want to support the project, you can buy one of the courses. That's always, you will learn something, and yeah.
Perfect.
Hope it helps.
Yeah. And again, congratulations to our raffle winner, $6,000 of combined Rokoko and Reallusion's, gear. Jerome, well done. Good winning. Good luck having, I guess. And yeah, they said, stay tuned for we'll be doing more of these webinars, I'm sure, in the future, and more contests. And there's always interesting ways to get your hands on some of this stuff to start playing around. So with that, I think we're gonna log off. Thank you everyone for showing up. And yeah, I never know how to end these things. Do you guys have a good ending thought or something? Okay, we could just wave. We could wave ourselves out.
Say good night to all, and to all a good night, or something like that.
I love it. Okay, that's great.
So that's for Martin. It's night over there. So.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not that late yet. I always tell people to create something. Go create something.
That's great. Yeah. I like that. Okay, everyone.
We used to say keep it real time when we were back in the day doing those.
Keep it real time. Oh, that's some real CG
super
nerds.
cheesy.
I love that. That's fantastic. So everyone, keep it real time. Go create something. Have a good night, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. Cheers.
Bye,
guys. See ya.